Hello and welcome to another discussion of the Unholy Consult. This is the last book in the second Apocalypse series by R. Scott Bakker. Well, last published book, I should say. I'm hoping for more after this. But today we are talking through chapters 7 through 12. And next week we will be talking chapters... we just talked
13
about
through 16.
13 to 16. We have the usual group of friends here today. Carl might join us a bit later, but Steve and Dan, could you start us off with introductions? Maybe Steve first.
Sure. I'm Steve. It's my second time reading the Aspect Emperor series, and it's even more troubling the second time. But take it away, Dan.
Yeah. And I'm Dan. I don't know how many times I read this last book. More than 3, less than 5, I want to say. But, it's always interesting because I always forget little details. And then I re-remember them.
So many details.
Yeah.
Yeah. I want to discuss specifically what you guys noticed on rereads each time. Like, vicariously, it'll be a while before I decide to reread the series. So, at some point, we should talk about all the things that you noticed beforehand.
Well, a lot of the time, you're like, you forget you knew something, and then you reread it, and then you're like, oh, I always knew, but I now remember. And then you forgot you ever forgot it. If that makes sense.
Yeah, that happens. I rarely reread, but when I do, it's like, yeah, there's a secondary movie playing. I'm like, I feel like I should know that, but I don't. And sometimes you see things that you're like, oh, how did I forget that?
True.
Sorry. So we start with Moengus being tortured by Nair to beat the Anasurimbor out of him. And Serva, what did he make of Serva? Did she pretend to be his mother at some point? That dynamic and interaction was interesting there.
Well, Serwa, the thing called Serwa, the original Serwa was his mom, right?
Yeah.
So there was the weird motherly thing going on when the whole skin spy thing with the thing called Serwa, that whole relationship is just so messed up.
Relationships are so, yeah. Like, they're both technically his parents, but they're the most apart from, like, the most further away from actually being his parents, right?
Yeah.
Even though they're his sort of real parents, I guess. I don't know. I mean, yeah, they're both families are kind of fucked up. Like this one, and also like the trio of Mimara, Ismanet, and Akamian. That's also fucked up. Like, it's
well, they share some really warm moments in this set of chapters.
Well, they're still fucked up.
Yeah.
Yes, they are.
And some of the things they say about, I don't know. Then it's like, I don't know. Like, if you actually think about it, it's so wrong. Like, Akamian having a child from the daughter of his technically wife, sort of.
Yes.
I don't know. Like, it sounds like a bad porno plot or something. You know, like, well, fucked up. You know what I mean?
I agree. I don't know whether to, like, congratulate Bakker on making me find some warmth in that, like, that laugh they all share with the teasing that they do, which, that bit of teasing was a bit interesting, let's call it that, I guess. And but, like, I felt good, like, not quite the same way, but in an echo of the way that I enjoyed reading Akamian and Esmenet in the first series. This felt like it was trying to be that, but not succeeding. And so, again, like, I don't know whether to be amazed at Bakker for doing that again with this dynamic in the relationship, or to really dislike him for doing that with this dynamic in this relationship.
Yeah. Because it kind of feels a bit like when you're reading it, you're like, oh, this is nice compared to all the other fucked up stuff that is happening. But then when you stop to think, like when Mimara says to Esmenet, like, oh, I slept with him and he slept with me, but he was thinking of you. It's like, oh, because I look like you. It's like, no, that's not a good thing, I think.
No.
I think that doesn't make it correct.
It doesn't. And I guess it's a testament to how much they've all been through individually that they're okay with the situation. Like that is relationship breaking. I will never see you again until the day I die, or even after that stuff, for any other relationship. But for this family, it brings them together. They share a joke over it.
Fair enough. I mean, better than Kellhus.
Better than Kellhus.
Yeah. I'd rather be with Akamian than Kellhus, I guess.
Really?
That's true.
At least I can manipulate Akamian. Well, for Akamian, it's not a one-sided relationship. But for Kellhus, it's not. I have no agency at all in the relationship with him.
So are you saying to survive, or just to like hang out, or to so you would rather be with which group? Would you rather be with Kellhus or with
Akamian? I think, because I don't want to be a puppet. Like, I guess I wouldn't know that I'm a puppet, technically.
It can make you feel more special if...
True, but he might make me eat other people.
You could have put as a severed head on his belt.
Or he might make you think he might convince you to tell everyone to eat other people and then roast you over a pit for doing that.
Yeah. I don't think Akamian would do it.
No, Akamian wouldn't do that.
Akamian's not, I mean, I know that he's kind of like I guess you could say the most relatable character, but he isn't exactly the most trustworthy either. He's screwed over a lot of people.
Yeah. True.
But not people he cares about, though.
Well, in Rao.
Yeah. Proyas in ways, maybe.
But
Proyas is not his fault. But at least you can defend you can do something about it if he tries to, manipulate you or whatever,
Yeah, I guess.
You can possibly get out of it in some way, or, outsmart him or whatever. But Kellhus, there's no option. You just have to do what he says, pretty much. Like that. I'd rather not be in that universe.
Yeah, it's just a bad place to be.
don't want to be making these choices in the first place.
If those are your options, you're screwed. Either way.
Yeah. Well, at least this time we did see someone that is actually not damned, finally, right?
Yes. And it was Esmenet.
Yeah.
Did you guys see that coming? It was, the first time you read it, did you see that coming? What did you expect when Mimara was about to turn and see her mother?
I thought that was kind of anticlimactic. I think it's a lot of buildup. I'm not sure what I expected. I mean, it is the end of the world and everything, and so potentially the end of the world. So I guess there's other things happening, and they can't. But it seems like after all this buildup and after everything Akamian's done, it seems kind of like I don't know, like knowing that Mimara seduced him, knowing, because of her resemblance to Esmenet. It's a lot.
But you could have kind of, I guess, predicted that, there must be someone that's not damned, right? They can't all be damned. I mean, maybe, but it was, likely that there would be something not damned. And of all the people, well, there's not many people which could not be damned, I guess, that we would still encounter in the story. Like everyone else in the Great Ordeal is already damned because of the stuff they did. That leaves like Akamian, which is a sorcerer, which you already saw is damned, and I guess Kelmomus, but I don't think he's not damned. That would be a big surprise if he's,
Yeah.
blessed or something.
I'm kind of expecting him to be. I don't. So what is the logic of all this? It's not like Esmenet is just. I don't know. She has made a lot of selfish decisions, and is she just getting her due for suffering with Kellhus throughout? What is the reasoning behind her not being damned? And someone like Akamian, like just for the fact of using sorcery, if there are actual acts, okay, I guess they did tell us before that it's the balance of the soul. So Esmenet has netted more good things than bad things. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah, I
guess we just don't know the rules of what makes you damned or not, right? We just don't know.
I think it would. I think it would help to have to learn more about the other people in this world and the people who aren't involved in all this madness and who are just kind of trying to survive and live in their lives and to kind of have some context of, are those people damned, or what exactly does damned mean? But is it in other words, is it for a reason, or is it just by luck, or is she chosen for some reason, or what's the reason for it?
Yeah. And who decides, or is it just some intrinsic thing that happens? I don't know. Because like sorcery seems to imply some intrinsic way. It's not like someone deciding, it seems, but maybe not.
Yeah, the fact of the judging eye being the eye of the god, whatever that means, is like there is some decision happening by some entity, right?
I mean, it could be just, damnation or salvation is something like a physical property of things, right? Like there's no, if you do these things, then you become just like if you, I don't know, jump off a tree, you fall down because that's, the laws and the physics and gravity. Maybe just something like that. If you do sorcery, then you become damned because it's like you manipulated the order of the world or something, and that causes something else to make you damned. I don't know.
So is Mimara not damned because she bears the judging eye, or is she just not damned because the balance of her soul is pure? Is it a point in time snapshot that we're seeing, like things can change for them from here on, or is it that they are damned or they are not, period? Yeah, sorry, go ahead, Dan.
What do you think? No, I was gonna say, what do you think?
So it's interesting in the context of what we know about the White-Luck Warrior and what the gods think that they know, right? Like everything is predetermined, including so it's not just what the White-Luck Warrior does. It has to be the only randomness at this point seems to be Kelmomus. We'll talk about that in a moment, but but if everything is predetermined, then at the time souls are born into the world, it is determined whether they are damned or not. And I guess also what they do or not is predetermined. But that also has the paradox in that if it's predetermined, you can't really blame them. Like if damnation is for the choices you are making, then then they're not really making any choices because things are predetermined. Like they only have the illusion of choice.
Yeah, but again, like the apple falling to the ground, they don't make a choice, but they still fall. If damnation is just a physical property of something, it's just a law. But then it is what it is. It's not a moral judgment in a sense. It's a moral judgment in a sense as we understand it, but it's also not really. You know what I mean?
Well, yes, except it's not. It is a moral judgment, though. It is like when Proyas says he wants to die, and Kellhus tells him, "No, you're not going to like what you find out there." it is a moral judgment for that. Like at least the okay, unless we're saying okay, we can go levels deeper and say the pain and the torture means nothing, and
No, I'm just saying, like, because we imagine the world we would like to imagine the world as it should be. Oh, it should be just, and people should be rewarded for choosing things, which implies agency, and it implies that if you choose the right thing, that you should be rewarded. But there's nothing that says it has to be that way. Is there?
no, but the concept of reward and judgment
Yes.
implies that it is for something that it implies choice,
Yeah.
Free will, right?
which free will, which in the case of everything being predetermined, you have none.
No free will. Yeah.
So basically, and I think we've been told this, so I don't know why I'm surprised about this. All of these are just toys for the gods, and I don't know. I guess damnation is just going back into the trunk.
I guess. I mean, that's what, like, we've seen Mimara see the past and the future of someone when they look at him, right? Which seems to imply that maybe that only activates when the gods are acting in some way upon something. You know, just like when you observe, if, I don't know, an atom, you collapse its wave function. You know, it's like observing something actually changes the thing itself. Maybe that's what's happening.
But is it, not to go like full on butterfly effect here, but if a portion of the world is predetermined, I think I think I thought about this before. I don't have the reasoning handy that I indulged myself in at the time, but I think it follows that the whole world has to be predetermined. It's like you can't have a portion without the whole.
Probably. But we already know it's not the case because of a no god, I guess. I guess also called Moengus also makes a difference. Maybe other things? I'm trying to remember.
Yes. So, yeah.
It's a
So
paradox.
that, I think, makes this interesting because then my reasoning fails about if you can't have a part without the whole, because we do have parts that are apparently predetermined that can then, but it's all still external agency though. It's not like nobody's responsible for the decisions they are making or for the actions they are making because it's all predetermined.
Kind of.
Yeah.
Maybe that's just how it is.
Okay.
Maybe. I don't know. That's what we've been reading, right?
Yeah, and we have, and that is why the concept of damnation. Look, if the gods were the ones who were seeing everything as predetermined and someone else was saying, oh, you're damned and you're not, that would be interesting, like external entity who doesn't know about the gods. But the gods are doing the judging and they're the ones doing the predetermination. So the paradox is inherent in the entities imposing them. Am I making sense?
I feel so. I just feel like it's more like, it's not technically a paradox in that case. It's just that we assume that the gods judging would, judge based on free will. But maybe just people are born to be damned. Some people are born to be damned. There's nothing they can do about it. It's just how it is. That's how it's always been, because time already has existed for all, everything has already happened. But nothing is going to change. Everything is already planned. Everything is already built and
Got it.
is existing at the same time all the time, for the gods at least.
So some people are cake and some people are broccoli. That's
Yeah, Kel is a bit shit.
Some people are the harvest.
yes. So
Yeah.
their food the gods like and foods the gods don't. So that's what damnation is. You just don't taste good.
Maybe. But that's also assuming that the gods are the ones setting everything up. Right? It's implying that they have creation, that they have agency, but we don't know that they have agency either, right? Technically.
But the White-Luck Warrior,
Yes.
well, they could be just like the humans in that they have the illusion of agency.
Exactly.
And
We don't know.
yeah. Fair enough. Fair enough.
You could go infinitely deep if you want.
Yeah.
That's because a problem when you start having fancy stuff with metaphysics. It's like, there's always something like what's after, right?
Yeah.
Because we can
Yeah.
never, in our own world, we never know what's after. We never know everything, right? So how can you build it completely self-contained? It's hard. And explain everything.
It's interesting, like when you do these thought experiments about our world, you end up in a state of paradox often. So it's like Bakker has taken that paradoxical state and built a world out of it. So you can see the paradoxes in the story, which makes this very interesting, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what's happened, if you think about it, that's what philosophers have been doing in our world since forever. They're like, they're thinking things to the extreme. They're like, where, is there God? Can we get any, logical way to get to God or not? Or what's the metaphysics of our world? But at some point, you always have to get some principle which can never be proven or disproven, just an axiom, just like math. You need to choose some axioms which are true and you cannot derive and build everything from it.
Yeah.
Right. Just like in this case, you just need to assume some things, and depending on what you assume, you build your metaphysics from that. Maybe the assumption here is that everything is coming from the God of gods or something. I guess the people here are assuming everything comes from the gods, which are like demons, sort of like. But we don't know that that's true.
We don't know what the belief system in this world is, right? Does the encyclopedia, that thing that you mentioned before, does that have more of the metaphysics of this world?
We'll be back after a quick break. Are you passionate about writing or just love the arts? Tune in to the Poetry Podcast with A. Discover the latest trends in the industry, enjoy insightful book reviews, participate in Q&As, listen to captivating poetry readings, and get inspired by author interviews. We release episodes on the first 3 Thursdays of each month. Don't miss out. Come check us out at the Poetry Podcast with A.
How would I mention it? We haven't read like a myth of creation or something like that, which is often in like fancy books, it's often mentioned, right? This God created the world and did these things, right? I don't think yeah, it's interesting how little we know about.
So it's not even like what we need is what the people believe. Like, we don't even need to know the exacts of how this world functions, right? We need to know what they believe. I guess at this point in the story, we need to know how everything works, but it makes for good conversation to just guess.
Now that you mentioned it, though, it would have been nice if Bakker put in more detail about the religion. Because a lot of this is based on the religion, but we don't know much about it to start off with. So maybe that would have been more interesting, because then we start off with knowing about the religion of the first books, and then we're like, oh, these things are true, and then there's more surprise or more something set up to be subverted later on.
Yeah. And because the religions bear so many parallels, at least from the descriptions of the followers of the religion, I think we might tend to default to the ones that they parallel to, but I don't think that's entirely true here. So anyway, so was there anything more about Nair, Moengus and Serva? I think we'll wait for that to get interesting. All that happened there was that he got tortured some more, and that's it.
He got smacked about a bit.
Yeah.
I mean, there was a lot of stuff about, I don't know, like what is Nair actually doing? Like what does he want? I don't know. Is he what is he punishing in Moengus? Is he just trying to make Moengus more like him? Is he just an outlet to vent his frustration at Kellhus? Right? I don't know.
I feel like if he wanted to vent frustration, he might just kill him. I feel like he has a purpose for him and is trying to accomplish something with the torture. But like, there's no point in keeping him alive if all he wanted was to. And I don't. Well, okay, we haven't been in Nair's head recently, so we don't know anything about what's going on with him. But it seems unlikely to me that he thinks that anything would come. He seems pretty clear-minded, in my opinion, from when he talked to Akamian, and he has goals and knows how to get there. And his reasoning makes sense.
What's his goals? Well,
we don't know, but he has them.
Well, that's what you think.
Violence was his goal.
Violence.
Yeah.
Yes, I feel like he has a purpose with whatever he's doing with Moengus.
Okay. So you think he's in control of what's happening? I think so. Okay.
Yes. Dan's asking the question knowingly.
No, I'm just saying.
Let me tell you how wrong you are going to be later.
No, I don't remember all the details of Nair's psychological state and evolution in the last book, I guess.
Makes sense. Yeah, I am curious to see where this is going though, and with the Nair thread, like what his role will be in the Great Ordeal. Sorry, and I'm kind of glad that everything's converged now. From the 3 different threads that we were following, they're all more or less in the same place except for Nair and Moengus.
Yeah.
But they are fighting against these guys supposedly, so maybe they'll come head to head when they get inside Golgotha.
Yeah. Will they get inside?
They're not. Yeah.
Sorry, what was that?
Will they get inside?
The next chapter, or the second chapter after that, is called Golgotha. Will they not?
Maybe they just stand outside.
Oh no. 1, 2.
I mean,
only 2 chapters.
Yeah, in the Lord of the Rings, the army never got inside Mordor. Technically, they stood outside.
I wanted to see inside. Actually, I don't care whose eyes I see it through, but I.
Interesting you say that.
Maybe we'll get some. What's his name? The crow-faced. Is he crow-faced or crow-bodied? Crow-bodied. Orang and Orax. Maybe we'll get some more of those POVs.
Yeah. Well, I wonder what happened. Is Orax still alive? He got nuked.
Yeah, what happened?
Maybe. He possibly got nuked. Maybe not.
Maybe. But there's at least one more of them left, right?
There's 2 of them left, right?
For a book titled The Unholy Consult, we haven't seen very much of them in the first half.
And there was the, I don't know, that lord that went to the entrance of the gates of Golgotha, put his standard there, he shouted and then nothing happened, right? Like seemed empty. So it is
sorry?
There was a guy, I don't know if this chapter or the previous one, that rode his horse to the gates of Golgotha and then
Oh, yeah,
threw
yeah.
his standard and shouted and nothing happened and then he went back. And that's it.
Yeah, that's true. Nobody said anything. Nobody came out. They wanted to each rank, but there's nothing there. It's quiet.
Maybe it's empty.
Oh, sure. Maybe. That reminds me, Mimara, when she looked at Golgotha with her judging eye, she saw something above it. Is it the no god?
Oh, what did she see? Did she see something?
She saw something. She saw something extra. And it wasn't mentioned. Like, it was just...
Do you remember where?
It wasn't described. Let me see.
I don't remember this.
When they
I
show up...
it.
I'm sorry. I was turning pages to find the place where I saw that, right? And I saw one of my notes was WTF, dude. I think it was at the part where Kellhus denounces Proyas and says, "Yeah, let's hang the guy."
Yeah, fuck that
Wait,
guy.
no, I came too far. Where is
Which
this?
chapter is the one with Mimara? Is it
12, I think. I think it's 12.
12, but that's the last chapter we did. I think she was there before that.
Or is it
When
11?
Akamian and Mimara separate.
I guess they kind of interspersed everywhere.
Yeah.
I'm trying to find it. Yeah, it's hard. If I knew, maybe I searched by horn, but there's going to be so many horns.
A lot of horns.
No, not horn. I think... be brave, little one. Not the occlusion. Wait.
Yeah.
I think... Oh. Okay, so I think it's in the chapter when they both show up at the camp.
So 11?
And they get separated. Yeah. And
Again, I'm going through it, and like every page there's a mention of the horns
yeah,
of Golgotha behind.
Okay.
Like they're always
Yeah.
there.
I found it. It's in the chapter entitled The Occlusion. So it says, and she sees it. It is in italics. Blackness bound in whirling dust towering across the heavens. So before that, so when she's looking at the horns, this is the description. The thousandfold glimpses of dying peoples, races, civilizations, crimes that break the back of imagination, multiplied into lunacy across the span of lands and ages, so heinous as to draw hell, like fat and famine, up through the pores of the world. And following up all of this, like someone calls out to her, and she sees it, blackness bound in whirling dust towering across the heavens. So it has to be something beyond what she's already seen for about Golgotha. So is that the formation of the no god in process?
Maybe.
But yeah, I'm very curious about what it is. That's...
yeah, I'm trying to find it again. Oh, I guess I can search by towering. There's going to be 1,000 towerings. There's no... Oh.
It's in the occlusion chapter.
I know, but it's a long chapter.
No. I'll tell you keywords to search. Wait.
I'll find it. Found it.
Okay.
Is it truly you? Oh, no, that's someone else. Blackness bound in whirling dust. Oh, yeah, I guess blackness bound in whirling dust. That's a pretty good description of it. No god. Yeah, so she sees an image of a no god. Above or between the horns, yes.
But she also sees the past just as much as she sees the present and possibly the future. So that could be from before, or that could be the no god in the process of coming. But speaking of the rebirth of the no god, Kellhus says in his speech that the no god is going to be stillborn, which again cannot be a coincidence with one, Mimara about to give birth just now, and two, we know that the judging eye means women women's children are stillborn.
In this case, he's saying stillborn because he's like, oh, we'll destroy it before they
I
can
know.
actually, right? But it is,
Yeah.
it is an interesting.
I'm wondering if there's a connection there.
It's
I'm like, yeah, there is that literal meaning of it, of course, but I'm wondering if it means more, like implying a connection to the judging eye somehow. But
It might.
we'll see. Maybe.
Very peculiar.
What else? Yeah, we've been hopping all over.
Yeah.
I kind of don't mind. That's fine. I think it makes more sense to do that. There's just a lot of interesting.
Well, because a
things.
lot of the narrative is not like one chapter for one character. It's very mixed,
that's
right?
true. Yeah, it did flip a. Yeah, I think because they're all together, and the chapters are by places.
Mm-hmm.
We just see everything that happens in that place at the time.
That makes sense. Okay, so I guess, what do you think then? What was your reaction when you got to the Kellhus coming back part?
Oh my god, that was possibly one of my favorite scenes in the series. Because I don't like Kellhus, right? I don't like him at all. But when he showed up, I wanted to cheer.
Wow.
Really?
Like, the story will get interesting now. Like, I think I did not. Maybe part of it is that I didn't enjoy reading what was happening to the ordeal.
Mm-hmm.
And Kellhus coming back means probably that we will see something besides the depravity. But also just something about that scene. So there are certain actors in Indian cinema who are practically worshipped as gods. Okay, like some of them have like temples built for them and everything. Like, I'm not even kidding about that. So when one of their movies releases in the movie theater, people go and they have this whole built-up entrance scene and everything when they first appear on screen in the movie, and people like whistle, they rip up their tickets, they throw it in the air, they bring flowers to throw, like they bring things to celebrate the fact that the guy has come on stage. I felt like I wanted to do all of those things when Kellhus showed up.
Wow.
Okay, well.
Nice.
I think also maybe I was sharing that also might be how well Bakker wrote the feelings of the people on seeing Kellhus back. Like it's like things have gotten so bad. Somebody, like, sure, he made that happen, but they don't know that. So when he came back, it's like things might get better again. Daddy's back with sweets.
I wouldn't call him that, but yeah.
With sweets.
But it is very, like, reading all those parts with him, making the speeches and floating midair, and he has these halos and everything. It's like, I was very like, if I didn't know about Kellhus, like what he actually is, I would be so into this. Like if I was there,
Right.
I would. It's like everything is like from a movie, pretty much, or from everything is from like the Bible, pretty much. That's what it reads as. It reads as Old Testament Bible. It reads as, he's the God of, wrath and fury. He's not like the New Testament God. He's like, he says, like when he says, oh, it's the right of fathers to, hit their children. Like that's like Old Testament, sort of stuff. And it's, it's powerful. It's like, it gives a very vivid image, and it, so I can see that, but it's like, I know he's a bastard.
Yeah. Yeah. I see. You're happy to see a character back because you like them sometimes, but sometimes you're happy to see them back because you know that it can only get really interesting when they're coming back.
Yeah. Or you just love to
and that's
them.
why I was happy.
Yeah. I mean, for sure, everything he does is incredibly cinematic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially now.
Yeah. And his speeches are pretty good. Right. Even though they're bullshit. But
It is. But I didn't like that he, well, of course, I did not see coming at all. Him dressing up Proyas and throwing him under the bus for that. And Kelmomus, of all people, not exactly feeling bad about it, but noticing that something bad happened to Proyas.
Yeah. What did you think was going to happen with Proyas?
Well, I thought Kellhus will say, "Good job, kiddo. Now let's go march on Golgotha."
Well, you understood why he did it, though, right?
Yeah. I think I got it even before he explained it, but it still was terrible. Like, that was objectively worse than what happened with who's the other guy? Sabon, yes.
Sabon,
Yeah. But, on the other hand, Sabon got sucked into hell, and Kellhus is keeping Proyas alive so that he doesn't go to hell yet.
Yeah, I mean, do you think it matters, like, if you spend one extra day compared to an eternity in hell? Maybe it matters. Does it make much of a difference?
Well, that assumes that at the end of all of this, the ordeal will end up in hell, right? I almost feel like, and simply because he's keeping Proyas alive over this, I feel like he has a plan where they probably won't go to hell.
Okay. But I think he did say to Proyas, "Oh, you are going to hell. Like, what I made you do damned you."
Yeah.
100%.
Well,
That's what he says to him, right?
Yes, but Kellhus would have applied your reasoning too. Like, what does it matter if he's not in hell for one more day? So the fact that he's keeping him alive is making me think that there might be more to it than that. Like, if you go now, you're damned. But maybe if I keep you around, and after we finish our thing at Golgotha, maybe there's some other future in store for you.
So do you think it's like Kellhus is towards Proyas, like a bit like towards Esmenet? He actually likes him, even though he doesn't want to admit it, sort of. You know? So why would he do it otherwise? Like that. Right?
Yeah. That's a good question. Oh, but they had a reasoning for it, right? With Esmenet and Akamian.
Yeah.
Oh no. Okay, that was trash. Esmenet trashed that theory that he wants to trap us here. No, he doesn't need to trap you to kill you. He'll just do it like that. Okay. So what then? Why would he keep him alive? Like, I don't know. I don't think that I believe that he is that he has another darkness besides Esmenet and is not aware of it.
I mean, he does say, he has a whole conversation which seems genuine with Proyas. Again, seems, as we've seen in the past. But he does say, like, now that I'm so close to Golgotha, like, everything is darkness, sort of. Like, I'm done. I don't know what's going to happen, kind of, from now on. So maybe he's just like, well, I'll do this for you because I don't know what's going to happen. Might as well try to be nice to you, I guess. That's what it seemed to be from a conversation, right?
Yeah.
But we don't know if
that makes sense. Yeah. Why? It is. Everybody needs to serve a purpose, and I think whatever he needed from Proyas, he got by just trussing him up, right?
Yeah.
But he's keeping him alive. That reason can't be for the greater, or like, is it for signaling purposes to the ordeal, or is it for himself, for something else that he wants to achieve? Because Proyas cannot be a leader of the ordeal again after what he did. So it has to be for something he personally wants from him.
Maybe he just likes the guy. I mean, why did he save Esmenet? Why did he bring Esmenet? Right? Same reasoning.
I mean, why did he bring Esmenet? I feel like that he could have done something else if all he did was want
Yeah.
to protect her.
Yeah, why not drop her off somewhere else? Why bring
Yeah.
her here?
Right. I'm sure there was some kingdom somewhere on that horizon where she could have been safe, maybe.
Yeah.
He could have like hidden her. It didn't even need to be a sanctuary thing, just hidden her,
Yeah.
and she would have been okay because it would be far from their kingdom.
Maybe it is as she says. He doesn't know what's going to happen from now on.
But why bring her here?
Well, so at least he's close enough or he can do something in case something happens. Maybe.
Makes sense. Whisk them off to the outside. Yeah. Who knows?
But yeah, like the arc of Proyas is very tragic.
It is. Yeah.
I would say the most tragic, at least for me. Given that everything he did, because also we know a lot about his childhood through Akamian, right? So we get a very good, we get almost everything. We get him from being young, growing up, and then sort of leaving Akamian, becoming religious, the Crusades, then this, and then the betrayal. And then it hasn't happened yet, but we've been told he's going to hell. So,
Yeah, I think in terms of having his beliefs shattered, I'm kind of okay with that because he was a bit of a self-righteous.
You're so harsh.
But in terms of having his loyalty betrayed, I think that's that part I feel for him. The level of self-righteousness he had in his beliefs to the point where he denounced Akamian. I guess I've not forgiven him for how cruel he was.
It was conflicted. I can't, he has responsibilities. It's not that simple, I feel. I think he's a good man. I think.
I think I largely agree with you. It's is that you don't agree, Steve?
You don't think, Steve?
You don't think so?
Yeah.
I think in this context, he is. In this world, he is, I guess.
Yeah. He has been responsible for a lot of deaths and not meaningful deaths. Okay, I'll take that back. It was in the first Holy War. It was in service of some of his beliefs. And same here. And I think things are complicated in this world because the gods actually exist. And I'm not saying they don't in our world. I haven't seen the proof. So because of that, I think it makes sense. But here's the thing. Mm-hmm. He repeatedly sacrifices kindness and compassion in favor of his religious self-righteousness, which I think even if you believe in the gods, if the manifestation of your belief in the gods who do exist is, how do I put this? You're saying, the gods don't need you to protect the religion. That's just a problem I have with religious institutions. The gods don't need your protection. It's supposed to work the other way around. So just be kind. And he hasn't been that person. Yeah.
I mean, we do get it flashback about him talking with his father about his father killing, the children of this guy that he defeated because, this act of cruelty will prevent unnecessary bloodshed down the way. It is a bit like that, it feels.
It is a bit like that, but also I think those justifications come by easily. Those are sort of and I'm not saying that this is always true, but I feel like we don't stop and question enough
Yeah.
if that is really what you think it is, or if that was just your like default brute force answer, and you ruled out all these other options that didn't require killing.
Yeah.
So yes, I see that. Like I see that is a line of reasoning that people follow. And so in the frame of his belief system, I think that he is a good man, but I'm questioning his belief system in the first place.
Yeah.
That he hasn't questioned that enough.
Yes.
And for that reason, I find it hard to get behind him.
Okay. Well, do you think if you were in his shoes, you would have done better?
If I were in his shoes, like, I don't know. I feel like I don't have first-hand experience of
fair.
being so ingrained in a thought process that I won't be shaken out of it.
Yeah.
I don't, and I think that is true about myself. I don't know for sure. I haven't met my thing that I am bigoted about.
I'm sure people,
as far as I know,
500 years in the future will say the same thing about you now.
Possibly.
It's always the thing, right? I don't know.
But that's the thing. Like, it's what are the things that make you think that hatred, unkindness, killing are okay? For me, right now, I can come up with 0 things. Maybe. Like, I don't know. I will try to argue the hell out of some things.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying I don't behave poorly. I'm just saying that I can see. I won't. I won't, like, that cannot be the default. That cannot be like, this is okay in these cases.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
I don't disagree with you. I'm just saying, if your whole culture and everyone, has that frame of mind, it would require a person bigger than myself probably to go against my whole society, I guess, and cultural norms. That's what, I don't know if I could be that strong.
But in the case of Proyas, he is one of the people setting the norms. He's not. And I don't even know why I'm arguing with you so much, because I don't dislike Proyas. But he is setting the norms. Like, he is one of the people in power who can drive how people think. So after a point, it's not going against his society. It's telling his society how to think.
Technically, he thinks that the gods are telling society how to behave. So he has to follow what the gods say. Technically.
That's true. And I guess in this case, the gods are his society that he cannot go against. But then...
This will be a never-ending argument, I think.
Yeah, because he is... Look, even knowing that the gods exist, he is presuming to know what the god wants.
Yes. Well, that's what priests are for, even in our world. To tell us what the gods want. Exactly.
And I'm not okay with that either. Like... And what the god wants apparently is for you to kill people, which again, like, why do you keep coming to that conclusion?
That's what the gods tell me. It's a bit of a zero logic, right? Why are the gods right? Because they're the gods and they say they're right.
Yeah.
At some point, you need to assume something is true. Just like you assume that kindness is the right thing.
Yeah, so the assumptions you make are self-serving to what you want to believe in. Right?
Every philosophy is based on some axioms that you cannot prove and that you have to assume are good or correct. And we just have different ones than these people.
Yeah,
luckily,
makes sense.
Probably, maybe. I don't know. I don't know what the real truth is, so I can't say who's right. But that's it. I mean, again, that's one of the good things about these books. It makes you think about all these things and question what's right and what's not. And, hopefully it helps you, figure out something better or reaffirm your beliefs if they're, if you think they're good. But, it does make you think about them. And there's stuff, and it's good to question your beliefs, even if you come back to them in the end. right? Because then they become stronger.
Yeah, exactly. Like questioning your beliefs, which I guess Kellhus kind of forced him to do right now. And what Akamian was trying to tell him to do before, that it was interesting that when he found doubt, he went back to Akamian's teachings.
Yeah. Yeah, Kellhus says the same thing, right? It's like, oh, the real person you should have been following was Akamian all along, right?
Yeah. Did Akamian have a moment in here when was it Akamian when he thinks to himself that he's always wavering, but there was some added layer to that I'm now forgetting. It was a very profound moment he had, but I forgot.
I remember him calling Proyas like his child or something, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah, I think what was more even, like, I didn't like Proyas getting completely and utterly betrayed by Kellhus. Like, I felt bad for him there. But what moved me more was when Akamian was trying to help him again. And that moment when he thinks he sees Akamian, he thinks he's hallucinating, but I think Akamian was probably really there.
Yeah.
That was pretty cool too.
Cool.
No?
Cool.
Tragic.
I mean, it was a good moment in the book.
Somewhat bittersweet. Somewhat.
Yeah.
But maybe that's the best we can hope for.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do wonder what will happen to him now. Will he get rescued? Will he die and get sucked into hell?
He'll probably live happily ever after.
Right.
Maybe. Oh, we don't know.
Move to Florida and go on vacation.
To Miami. And I don't know why I had to fill in the specific city that he vacations in.
He's earned a vacation for sure.
Yeah, I feel like he's the kind of guy that would go on a vacation to a family resort. He wouldn't go hiking. He wouldn't go, I think he would go like a family vacation. I think in a very normal place like Miami or something, Florida.
Good. I like that for him.
Yeah, he's a family man. Maybe we don't know.
Yeah.
Well, we got a lot of flashbacks, right? While he was sort of dying, thinking about his children and his wife, which we actually don't know who it is. We haven't had much, but we can assume that it exists.
We just know their names. We know he's named them after was it mother or grandmother, and Cinemus.
Oh, true. I don't remember.
He could be hallucinating too.
About
About having a wife?
No, but Kellhus, do you think he's feeding into his hallucinations? He tells him that you're doing this for Tyler and Cinemus and a third name, which I'm now forgetting.
Wait, did you say Tyler?
Thaila. How do you say that name?
Thi.
Aila.
I don't know. Tyler sounds
that's the name of his. That's the name of his daughter, apparently.
Okay.
I think daughter. The son is Cinemus.
Yeah.
We got
Sometimes it's a bit hard to, it's like, I know what it's supposed to be, but we haven't seen these people ever, so it's kind of hard to feel for like they exist because we first time of them.
We can only feel through him, right? Like it's what he feels for them. They're not people that we can care about.
But having
and I didn't get the sense
would have been nice at some point, maybe.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
but he hasn't thought about them. Only Kellhus mentioned that you're doing this for like you're a sacrifice in their favor.
How important can they be if he never thinks about them?
Right?
Yeah.
He's not doing any of this for them.
It feels a bit like, that movie you watch and then there's, the guy, something's happening, he sees his wife, he's like, I've never seen this wife before. Am I supposed to feel something about this person dying or whatever?
Yeah.
I mean, I feel for him for all the stuff we did see about him and Akamian, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think there's enough there to feel bad about without adding the
Yeah.
family into his. Like, I don't think he misses them. I doubt that they miss him very much.
Yeah. I mean, there was that whole, when Kellhus was doing the speech, he was doing, he said the example of his soldiers all fighting for each other and stuff like that. That was very, I don't know if it was true, but it was.
That feels like a very made up children's story. Like those WhatsApp messages we get that give a message in a very like twisted roundabout way instead of just giving me a quotable quote.
Yeah.
It feels like one of those.
I mean, it's a good story for the army, right?
It is.
And again, it makes him
It is.
more, he says it in a way that makes him kind of like them. No, you're not fighting for me. But then everyone's like, oh yeah, we're fighting for you. Because you're so humble. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I like his speeches.
Yeah.
They're good speeches.
They're good speeches. They make me want to whistle. If I could whistle, I would whistle.
We know they're not true. That's the thing.
Yeah. I think, much like Proyas, knowing everything we know about him, it's still interesting to see how what he says and what he does moves us as readers just as much as I think Proyas, at one point when he's giving the speech, Proyas thinks to himself, the voice was beloved. Like, yes, it is still beloved no matter what happened so far. Like, it's something that he almost can't help thinking about, and it's not even something that he wants to do anything about. He doesn't, I think, want to change how he feels about this. He doesn't feel betrayal, it seems like, at least so far in whatever we got.
It's more like desperation, kind of. It's not hate towards Kellhus. We haven't, seen that.
Yeah, I don't feel like his feelings. He's still really grappling with the turnout of what he knows about Kellhus. I think maybe he hasn't really processed the betrayal yet because he's still grappling with the stuff that happened before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's the thing with Kellhus, right? Like we discussed in the first series too. Like he says that a lot of the stuff he says is true and it's profound and it's real, but it doesn't make it any less manipulative. Right?
Yeah.
Like the story and all the stuff he said in the speeches, it's like, yeah, that's true, but it's still manipulative, right?
Yeah. And in this case, I can probably get behind him because they've been through a lot and now he needs them in fighting form. And I think the chapter named The Lament, where everybody's like starting to feel bad because they realized what they did.
Yeah.
He needs them to snap out of it. And he needs them to fight for each other. So it almost feels like a normal pre-battle rousing speech. Except it's not. It's Kellhus, so it's not.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Who else was interesting? Esmenet and Moengus.
I mean, Sorwheel.
What about... Oh.
Right.
And Sorwheel. Yes.
Now he's in this chapters, he was like the White-Luck Warrior from the previous books, right?
Yeah. He had a first present tense narrative and he was looking at himself from outside of himself.
Yeah.
And I love how he did that. Like, I'm really amazed or like impressed with how Bakker, like, it's the same person we're reading about, but it feels different, right? It feels like the White-Luck Warrior. You can just tell from the way it reads that he is now the White-Luck Warrior before it was even mentioned for the first time. So I thought that was done brilliantly with Sorwheel. I think the first POV we got of him in this set of chapters, it was, he's now the White-Luck Warrior. The personal touch was completely gone and it felt like we were reading him from a distance, which is exactly how like all the other White-Luck Warrior sections read. And the italics were missing, but we still got it. So I think that was really brilliantly done.
Sure.
but he was thwarted by Kellhus, right?
Seems like it.
I don't know what to make of the fact that Kellhus could see Sorvil's true expressions.
Yeah, but also something that maybe you didn't consider was, right? Because, okay, so the White-Luck Warrior sees everything, and he knows that he will be in position to kill Kellhus, right? So he knows that whatever series of coincidences will lead to him being in a position to kill Kellhus, right? But
Right.
how can he kill Kellhus, but also the previous White-Luck Warrior also kill Kellhus? Right? Because for him to now be in a position to kill Kellhus, but it must be that the previous one didn't succeed. But the previous one also saw that he was going to succeed. So how does that work?
Yeah, how does that work? Is it like the probability waves that you mentioned? Like those are the most likely scenarios that might collapse, or he needs to do this? Is it like a sequence of events that might become true? Like if he gets here and he does this, then this is what happens.
I mean,
It's not predetermined. Maybe we are wrong that it's all predetermined. Maybe it is like different possibilities, but you can see it's like in the Dune one, you can see the full-fledged outcome of one path that you take.
But I mean, what would have been the first White-Luck Warrior? There's so many coincidences or things that would have had to happen for him to be in that situation. And then the earthquake, and then the rocks falling that specific way, and him being also, hired to kill Mayfinet, and also all the stuff that happened. There's so many, and Kellhus having to come back from the great ordeal to, right?
Right.
So many things.
Or do you think that bit collapsed from when Kellhus came back?
Oh, I see. But Sorvil was the White-Luck Warrior even before, wasn't he? I guess he didn't see him. He wasn't fully inhabited by the White-Luck Warrior, so he didn't see himself kill the Kellhus until now.
we saw the White-Luck Warrior see the White-Luck Warrior kill Kellhus. I don't think we saw Sorvil's visions of the White-Luck Warrior, if I'm remembering correctly. It was whatever sequences of the future we saw, they were from the abstract White-Luck Warrior perspective.
Yeah.
They weren't any condensed or collapsed White-Luck Warrior.
But I'm pretty sure it's still a paradox, because we have two contrasting prophecies that both don't work, right?
Right.
So we have three different things sort of happening, and none of them can happen if the other two happen, kind of.
What was the third
Well,
one?
the third one would be just that it didn't happen. The fact of them not happening is the third
makes
thing,
sense.
right? But we also know that everything is predetermined, sort of. Maybe we know.
Yeah. Like, I didn't get the impression from the White-Luck Warrior perspectives that they were sort of scrambling to correct a previous error, It's like, this is what we're doing. But it could also just be that the White-Luck Warrior perspective is matter of fact, that they just look at the world from where they are and what they need to do. So they don't care too much about the motives and why. They just know what they need to do.
Maybe.
But I agree. Like, there is a paradox there that absolutely makes sense.
Why do you think? What do you think is the answer to this paradox?
The answer to the paradox. Well, I think in a previous discussion when Carl was talking about how Kellhus is the randomness in all of this, I think, but again, like if there is one piece of randomness, then you could fan out to make everything random, I suppose.
Yeah.
The presence of Kellhus is making it so, but is he, oh my god, is he the no god? Like, is he going to be something to do with the no god? Because the no god is outside of what the gods can see. And Kellhus apparently can see Sorvil Sorvil's real expressions. And also, did we talk about this already? Am I just repeating a theory we've already discussed?
I think Carl said something like along the lines of, oh, maybe since he's inhabited by the gods, maybe that's why. Something like that, he said.
I think Carl's theory was like the Ajoku thing, right?
So maybe that's why he's not affected by the White-Luck, because he's also...
That he's also inhabited by the gods. But I wonder... So, what's not clear to me is about the gods. Can they see each other's plotting? I guess we don't know that yet. But let's say that they can see all of time and the no god is the only blind spot they have. Then Kellhus being in that blind spot probably has something to do with said no god.
Possibly.
Yeah. That didn't answer your question. I just went on a tangent. But no, I don't know the answer to that. I don't know how that paradox resolves itself.
Fair enough. Maybe there's no solution. It's just a paradox. Maybe it's just bad writing.
I mean, I wouldn't go so far as to call it bad writing, but I do wonder if some of it is oversight. I don't think so. It feels too intentional for it to be oversight.
Yeah.
So, what is it? What is the plan behind it all?
We're going to see, I guess.
So, Steve, how's that interview request for Bakker coming?
It's still out there.
Bring him here and ask all the questions.
It's still out there. I'm hoping he checks his inbox. I'm sure he gets hundreds of those emails every day. So
every day, I don't think he's as famous as you think.
He might be listening. You can't say that.
He might be listening. I hope not. He'll think I'm stupid.
He'll think all of us are stupid.
Probably, yeah. He seems very smart. I mean, his subreddit has 3,000 people. It's not that popular. I just say.
I'm hoping he'll reply someday.
Maybe.
One day.
Fingers crossed.
Just keep all the metaphysics questions. I can actually troll his blog after we finish this, right? Good.
But I think I don't know. It's too complicated for me, most of it. I don't get the philosophy stuff.
Well.
I'm sure I could get it if I spent a lot of time on it. But
yeah.
Maybe. I mean, you're probably smarter than me and you can figure it out.
I don't know. I tried reading some. Where I lose it in philosophy is I like even the definitions of terms are confusing to me. And so like when the baseline established, I cannot follow what was built on top of that. Again, maybe if I spend time on it, but then, there are many rabbit holes.
Yeah. I don't know. There's things in life you don't want to think about. Metaphysical.
Yeah, for sure.
Better be oblivious.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Okay. So that was the sword wheel part.
That was.
I guess, was there anything else about sword wheel which was interesting? I guess his relationship with Surwa is a bit different.
Yeah.
Do we think Kellhus is right that she actually does love him?
I think so.
Yeah,
she seems to be kind of into
sense.
him, right?
Yeah, but with the Dunyain, you can't tell.
But he was, even the perspective we got from her, she was like confused about, what am I feeling? What is, So, that's very...
Yeah.
If it was any other person, I would say 100%, oh, she loves him, right?
Yeah. Yeah, that's what makes it all interesting, because these are all Dunyain and you're like, do you believe them? Do you believe? But in this case, it's not Sarva telling us what she's feeling. It's Kellhus reading Sarva's expressions at the time of his potential death. We don't know yet whether Sorvil is dead, right? Or is he? Is he like done?
Well, we don't know exactly. It would be a bit sad.
Yeah, we don't know yet.
Finally, Surwa learns what love is and then get killed.
Yeah. Does she?
Well, I mean,
does she really?
If we assume that he loves him, then I don't think she's loved anyone else before, probably. I don't feel like it.
Yeah. The conversation she had with Moengus was interesting. She talks about how the Dunyain, what they lack in compassion, they make up in sanity with reasoning. So, I mean, I think we already knew this before, but yeah, I'm still wrapping my head around why greater intellect means no compassion.
I don't know. Compassion is for the weak, for the stupid. You can't love if you know that everyone is a machine made of flesh or something like that. I don't know.
Maybe.
Or you can't love if you think everyone else is stupid and they have no control or no agency over their own actions. I guess that might. If you actually think that then nobody has any agency over their actions, then it kind of makes loving something a bit impossible.
Don't humans keep pets?
Well, I think people try not to think, don't actually confront the fact that animals are just acting on base instinct. I guess we have no proof really that they have no conscience the way we have, but
yeah.
And also,
that's we don't have the proof, but that is sort of the default.
But that's also
state.
because people tend to, project their own mentality and feelings onto other things, be it animals or be even robots, right? As long as it has a face and it looks cute or whatever, like people can emphasize it because that's how our brain works, right? We're social animals, so we need to be able to think that people things that look like us feel the way we feel, right?
Which I guess Dunyain are beyond. So that makes sense.
That's how I think about it.
Yeah, they don't need to anthropomorphize, so they can.
In theory, they're beyond all of that. In theory.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough.
But I don't know.
So.
Again, Kellhus loves. Does he love her? I don't know. What do you think about his whole reasoning in this? Because he went through a whole, thing.
Like, screw her. I'll go follow daddy now.
Yeah, but then also, I'll follow him so that when I finally finish it, she'll be like, "Oh, you were always right. You're so strong." You know what I mean?
Yeah, he played out his own revenge fantasy.
Yeah, he's so bad. There's nothing redeemable about him, really. I don't.
No. When he was with the luggage, he put himself there, right? It's not like anybody dumped him there. It's like, oh, we are like the baggage. And then he goes, but we are so little. And we are so... Okay, I will ask again. Samarmus, is that voice really Samarmus? Are you guys ready to tell me yet?
I mean, everybody calls it Samarmus, right? Even his sister, I think, or his... Like, everyone calls it Samarmus. But they kind of behave towards it weirdly. Like, if you remember, Samarmus was like, bit like, not kind of like a normal person, right? A normal kid.
No, Samarmus was apparently an imbecile.
Well, that's what the Dunyain thought about him, I guess. Maybe he was a bit dumber, but I don't think he was, like, actually an idiot. I think he was just maybe like a normal child. Right?
I don't think we know that for sure. I think even Esmond thought him an imbecile.
Maybe. But fair enough. But the voice in his brain does not behave or think the way Samarmus physically, like the physical one we saw, did.
Which, in my theorizing, makes sense because you remember when they were born and they were staring creepily at each other and they had to be separated. Their souls were separated. So I feel like Samarmus got less, like a bit of Samarmus went into Kellhus.
Maybe.
And that's the voice in his head. That's my theory.
Not an unreasonable theory. But the Samarmus in his mind is a bit like
So
strong and not evil, but kind of maybe evil. I don't know.
it is. I think Samarmus is what's making Kellhus cruel,
You think?
right? That's the cruelty in him. All that's the instigator always, like right from the beginning. That voice has been the instigator of all the cruelty and evil that Kellhus
So you're saying
does.
that Kellhus took the cruelty and evil away from Samarmus, so he was left with none, but no, he took the intellect away from him too, and that's what's left in his mind.
Yeah.
I see. Okay.
So if it had been a proper split, Kellhus might have actually been a sweet kid, but
Or maybe if it would have been the same.
or maybe they would have been the same.
Okay.
Or if they had been, but Kellhus likes to listen to that voice. So if they had been split equally, maybe Samarmus would have physically told him instead of just being a voice in his head.
Yeah, but we don't always agree, right? They argue, like often.
It's mostly Kellhus telling him to shut up when he says things that he doesn't
True.
want to hear.
True.
Like until this chapter, it's always been. I don't even think we've seen Kellhus talk back to the voice very much. It was mostly the voice telling him something, and Kellhus like, yeah, cool, let's, how high?
Fair enough.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's.
Yeah.
I don't like that kid. And the way, like, when
No.
when Mimara got there and she was like, oh, she was smiling at him, and then he called her like a whore or something. It's like, why?
So that was horrible. And also, I know he's Dunyain and everything, but his thoughts feel a bit too adult for me. Like, do you think the way he thinks makes sense for an 8-year-old? 8-year-old Dunyain, yes, but 8-year-old?
It's like so edgy.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
I don't know. He's got the immaturity of like an edgy teenager, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's what it feels.
And did the judging eye shut down as soon as she saw Esmenet and she's like, yeah, cool, you're going to paradise, I'm happy now, and the judging eye shut? Because I was fully expecting Mimara to tell us just exactly how damned Kellhus is, but then she smiles at him and she's happy to see the kid.
No, true. Yeah, that makes sense, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we don't get to. She isn't using it after, I think.
Yeah.
No. And after that, I think when she tries to see Kellhus, and I think there's someone else that she wants to see with the judging eye, and that's just not happening for her.
True. Because I think, doesn't she see, like, the whale mothers and stuff like that when looking at some other Dunyain before Kellhus and Esmenet? I think, like, Serwa maybe? I don't remember. Someone.
Yeah. I think Sarva, but I think she only thinks of them. I don't
maybe.
think she sees them. Yeah. I think she compares how skeletal Sarva looks to the whale mothers. Maybe because she's Dunyain, that's what triggers the thought. I don't know.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough.
Fair enough. So, okay, we did Mimara, Esmenet. Yeah, I guess we already talked about their little happy reunion, not at all disturbing reunion. Which, again, like, it's all relative, right? Like, this would have been a gaggy moment in any other book. But in this book, this is a nice, cheerful, sweet moment that you highlight.
True.
It's about as sweet as it gets.
Yeah. I mean, because they're all broken in some way, right?
Yeah.
But at least they're human and they're trying to be nice to each other. Unlike most of the other characters.
Yeah. I think even before the jokey moment when they all get together in a group hug and Esmenet thinks to herself that these are the people who can love her back. That was nice, but I couldn't bring myself to feel happy for her yet because we don't know what kinds of deaths all of these people are going to have.
Yeah, very true. But at least if Esmenet dies, in theory, she's blessed, so she's not going to hell. So
that's true.
It's not as bad.
And Mimara will join her.
Yeah, I mean, Akamian is gone, but, at least Mimara and Esmenet are
Mimara and Esminette. Yeah.
Which, I mean, if I had to save two people out of all our characters, I guess like maybe Sorwil I would save. But Esminette and Mimara are probably the top ones.
Yep, I'm with you there.
So it would be fine if I die, I
Kel
guess,
almost.
in a sense.
I think Moengus is kind of, he might be one to save.
Yeah. We don't know enough about him. Like, I don't know enough about him to care. But I think even in the little snippets we got a lot of personality for him.
True. He did nothing wrong. I don't think he's done anything wrong, actually.
No.
Oh, yeah. I felt really bad for him in that section from last week when he's yearning for Esminette's affection, but he didn't get back as much as he gave her. So he is a little bit like Esminette in that, except, yeah.
Just wants to be loved.
Just wants to be loved back.
Yeah. And even technically sleeping with his sister, it's not really his sister, so it's not... I mean, it's still slightly bad because we were raised together and stuff like that, so it still feels a bit... I wouldn't, but it's not technically wrong, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, it has a bit of the wrongness taken away from it.
Yeah, it's a stepbrother sort of thing, which is like, technically it's allowed. But
yeah, technically. They're not even half siblings. So.
Yeah, they're completely different. But, I guess he's adopted, so...
Yeah.
He didn't do anything wrong. As opposed to a lot of other people which are like, even if they had good intentions, they still did fucked up stuff. He didn't do anything wrong as far as we know.
Yeah. And even, like, it seems like Serva seduced him as part of the plan to make Sorvi hate her. It wasn't an ongoing relationship. So she did use him though, so that was bad.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So Moengus, I agree. Moengus also might be worth to say. It's interesting that he's been through so much that he doesn't care what Nair is doing to him now.
Feels bad.
Or he can take it more easily.
Yeah.
Who else have we got? Who else did we not talk about yet? I think that about covers it, right? Yeah. So quotes, Steve?
Yeah, I had one. Let me see. On page... Jeez, where'd I go? Page 187. For what was love, if not weakness, become blessing.
Yes. That was a good one. Any others? I'm trying to find some.
There's not as many quotes. Not as many quotable lines on the second half.
It's more paragraphs.
I don't know. A lot of the things that Kellhus said in his speech are kind of quotable.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. But the context. The context makes them less so.
True.
Maybe. Yeah. Oh, I think I read some of this on my Kindle, so I don't have notes. Oh, well. So, that's it. If there are no more quotes.
Yeah, and anybody listening, if there are quotes that someone out there is someone out there is, has on their list, let us know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Give us quotes in the comments.
And if you want more quotes, just read the books yourself. And you can read all of them. Well, I assume everyone that's listening must have read it. I can't imagine someone listening to hours of people talking about the book they haven't even read.
Yeah, that'd be kind of boring.
Or you could build a whole picture with what we talk about. Make up your own story.
To be honest, like we're talking about our discussion, but I've listened to people discuss Star Trek for hours, and I've never watched a single episode. So
yeah, it does happen.
It does happen.
Yeah,
it does happen.
Or you can read Red Shirts without ever seeing Star Trek.
You can. Yeah.
Oh, none of us here have seen Star Trek, and we're reading Red Shirts.
Very true.
Okay, So on that note, I guess we will see everybody in a week for chapters 13 through 16?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's as far as we discussed. Check the beginning of the episode if you really want to know which chapters. But 13 through 16 for next week. Thank you so much for listening. Oh, we have to do outros. Steve, oh, we don't have to.
Just go to pagedoing.com.
Yes, go to pagedoing.com and find all of us there. And again, like I keep forgetting to say these, there are only 2 left. But if you would like to join us for these discussions or for the upcoming one on the Malazan Book of the Fallen, come check out the Pagedoing forum. Well, Malazan Empire, all of Malazan. But come check out the Pagedoing forum for this or any other reading group that we have there. Or start one of your own. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you soon. Bye.